Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your modelers have practically built themselves. Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv, and today we are going to build the last in the series of these Polar Light 187 scale houses. The Munsters we've done the Psycho House, or the House on the Hill. Today we're going to do the Old Victorian. Now, we recently reviewed the kit here on the channel. Go back to the Kit Hoarder Stash this last week and you can see that. And I'm not going to go over the build itself because it's very few pieces, and the building and painting were done pretty much the same as we did in the House on the Hill or the Psycho House. So check that out from a couple of weeks ago. But I do want to cover some of the unique things that we did with this house. For those of you who watch Morning Coffee with Mad Dog Merv, you'll know that I had some surgery on my foot a few months ago. And I started physical therapy recently, and right across the street from my therapist is this beautiful old Victorian house. About the same time, I came across the old Victorian kit for sale and decided, oh, I've got to have that. Now this will make all three of the monster houses, and so I purchased that. Once I got it home, got it opened up, I found the very most unique thing about this is it's got these little ghosts in there. And there was nothing on the instructions that talked about these little ghosts or anything like that. So I had to do some research on the internet. And I researched out and found out an old set of instructions to the Addams family house, not the old Victorian, but the Addams family house. And it shows how these parts get assembled so that these ghosts can actually move back and forth within the house. Pretty flippin' cool. So I got to do this. That will be the neatest thing ever, to have these little ghosts move back and forth in the house, I think. So I went ahead and tried to figure out from those instructions I downloaded from the internet how to assemble it, which I did. And I've got my ghosts here, and I got them painted up white with that luminescent paint over there. And if you want to know how I did that, go back and see that piece that I recently did on making molds out of silicone. Anyway, for the base, I went ahead and mixed up a tan with a little bit of gray and white to make a kind of a concrete-ish color for the sides, and I can't remember which colored tan I used, just a tan for the floorboards. And then went ahead and gave it a wash of that Larry's bath water, that pin wash I use, and you can see how that turned out. Again, a lot of these techniques are covered in other videos that I have. So here we've put three sides on the house, and you can see I've assembled it, painted it, used that same technique that was on the Psycho House. Again, go back and check that video out on the Psycho House or House on the Hill recently, and you'll see exactly how I did that. And here's the inside, and the back door opens. We'll show you how that mechanism all works out here in a minute. But I went ahead and put the windows in, and I painted the inside of the plastic black, spray painted it black with an airbrush. So I took some of that luminescent paint and made curtains, if you will. And then behind that, I painted white, kind of like you do on a RC car body, kind of a reverse paint job. And you'll see the effects here in a few minutes when I do the black lights. Here's the roof area, and how I had to do the wash. After I painted it tan, I did the wash, and then I painted the gables kind of a light gray and gave them a wash as well. Now, to start the fun, we're going to be putting in some figures and some lights. So starting up here, I thought I would put a ghost first, and then I decided, no, I've got a vampire that's in a coffin, and I'm going to prop him up in this window up here, and I'm going to put a light over him. That ought to be a lot of fun. So I've taken a spare piece of styrene, put down for the floor, put the window in, painted the insides of this black, and we're going to use some of this tape that I have. It's kind of a Mylar tape. We're going to try it out and just see. I'm going to use it kind of as a reflector to maybe enhance the light, get the light to bounce a little bit better. Again, we're just going to try this technique out and see how it goes. So I've got a couple of pieces of styrene here, sheet styrene, and we put on the tape and cut it to fit. These are going to be the sides of that, I don't even know what to call it now. Gable? I don't know what the heck this thing is, but anyway, the area where we're going to put the, so we'll put the sides on it. We'll make a top for it. For the back, we're just going to kind of make a curtain, but here you go. I put the coffin in there, made a little holder, if you will, so that it kind of sits on an angle so that the bottom is closer to the window and the top is farther back so that hopefully the light will hit the body. We're going to see how this turns out. Hopefully it's a good effect. Vampire figure comes from a set of 6 made by a company called Knock, and they aren't real easy to get, but I did find it on eBay. Here's the roof, the ceiling part for this. Now to light it up, you've seen these before. I got them for $1 at the dollar store. There's 10 LED lights, and these are green lights. You take the little shamrock off of here. I got them during St. Patrick's Day period of time, and they take 2 AA batteries. I've used them on my train tunnel. I used them in the Munster's home. I've used them on the St. Patrick's Day train. Anyway, so we're going to use these lights, and I am going to put some testers, fluorescent red-orange, on the floor down where my little moving ghosts are going to be. I'm just thinking that it might pick up some of the black light from outside and maybe glow inside. We'll see. We're going to see how this turns out. The floor's been painted now. The little sticks that hold them up to the level that I need them, that's been painted black, and then of course they've been given a coat of the fluorescent paint or the phosphorescent paint, and their little eyes and mouth have been painted. So we're going to continue to put lights on here, and I need one in the front porch, so I'm going to drill this hole right here under the roof for the porch, just big enough to put the LED bulb through. Now I put the pack down in the very bottom of the home. You'll see kind of where that winds up going here in a minute, and I have to wind these up through the house. And here's my first stop, is right here where the front porch is going to be. Then I have the roof that will fit. You'll see that little hole there, just the roof fits right in that little hole, and you can see the effect here. I think it turned out really, really good for front porch light. So because it's a string of lights, the next one I'll put here at this chimney and have a little light leading up through that. Then the next one in line is actually going to go over the vampire figure. You can see here at the top of this picture, I have a ghost chasing a man down a hallway with that mylar tape to kind of help light things up. We're going to see how that effect works out. But you can also see I've kind of strung the lights all over. I've painted the wires black so they don't necessarily show up. And here's kind of the completed, here's where all of my lights are within the house. And of course, they go down through the bottom. The battery pack will wind up being in the base, the styrofoam base that I put together. We'll look at that again here in a minute. But okay, so I turn the lights on, and there's a little bit of bleed through here and there, so I take some of this quick seal and I just stick some of that in the little cracks and crevices, so hopefully I don't have any more problems with light bleed. So now for the base, I'm going to take some white beadboard that I had laying around, styrofoam, whatever you want to call it, but anyway, I had this chunk laying around, just not a specific size, just something I figure is going to look good. I put the house down on it to kind of see where I want the yard and whatnot. I'm going to draw around the house so I know the footprint that it's going to have, and I'm going to cut a hole up through the bottom so that I can take some Gorilla Glue, put to the back of the battery box, and I'm going to put the battery box up in here and be easy to reach up and just turn on and off. You'll notice that I've built a little tunnel coming out the side of the property from this basement area, and we'll show you what we're going to do there in just a minute. So I've taken this all the way out. The idea is this. This was an old Victorian house, and well, they built a little parking area down below, and this is how you would get into the house. If you were driving your car, you'd park at the garage and go through this little area into the basement. Just my little fantasy world, I guess. So here's how this looks. I've got to cut down the beadboard so that it actually looks like landscaping. But here's kind of the mock-up of how I've envisioned this to be. So I've taken a couple of the lights that were left on that string and I ran them down into the tunnel here. And you can see now I've kind of cut it back and started to landscape it. But yeah, you can look down in there and you can actually see the tunnel and what's at the end of the tunnel. We'll get into that here in just a minute. So as far as the groundwork goes, I take that kind of a tan color that I have. It's a latex paint, and I just put it all over the base. And I take some, I call it my Utah mix, which is a little bit of red sand and some road grit, and it's all finely sifted. And I put it together in a bottle, and I just pour it out here onto the grounds. You can see I've made a little trail going up to the front door. And here, this area, I've had to use a little bit of plaster to make sure that this is all smooth and fits nicely. But here it is, landscaped and ready to go. I'm going to put some trees on here. I'm going to put some shrubbery on here. I'm going to put some fallen leaves on here because this is going to be a fall scene that I want to do. But after I put my static grass on, well, you see how that static grass turned out. Okay, so here we have the trees, and I have a tutorial on how I make trees. That's a year or so ago, if you want to go to that and take a look how I've made the trees. And I just used some fall foliage from ground foam and put it around. And yep, we've put some people on here. In this case, trick-or-treaters or people go into the haunted house. Here's the backside with the wishing well and the shrubbery and the trees and how that all turned out. And you can see now I've got the lights on in it. Oh, here we go. I've got the lights on inside, the green lights on inside, and you can see one of my little ghosts there inside the window. You can see kind of the wispy looking curtains on the inside, again, that we made with the fluorescent or phosphorescent paint and the white behind it. This is that ghost that's chasing the guy through a little hallway, and this effect didn't turn out very well at all. So unfortunately, they don't all work. But here you go. The curtains, I think, turned out pretty good, doing them on the inside like that. You can see the ghost in there. And here is our vampire with the light above him, shining from above him, and he's pretty well lit up, and he's pretty well lit in there. Must have a bottle of something good. But anyway, that's how he turned out. And of course, here's the finished product with the front porch and the people out there. So inside the basement, I actually put these phosphorescent rocks that I have, kind of glowing rocks. Figured, hey, we need something radioactive and sinister down in the basement, so that's what I put there. And of course, the two lights that light up the tunnel. So nice green glow. This is in that haunted house version. People would go through the haunted house and come out down through the basement. So, yep, there's a little ghost peeking out at us. And here's the ghost at the back door, as well as ghosts at the back window. And there's a ghost in one of the upstairs windows. So I hope you folks like this build and how it turned out, and join us again for more fun pretty quick.